All right, welcome to This Explainer. I am genuinely thrilled you're here today because we're going to unpack a super fascinating piece of human behavior. We're looking closely at the psychology of absolute self-reliance. And specifically, we're going to uncover exactly why some people, and hey, maybe this is even you, literally almost never ask for help.
So let me ask you a question. Have you ever stared at a massive problem for, hours feeling completely overwhelmed, but the thought of asking someone for help, it never even crosses your mind? Or picture this, you're absolutely drowning in work and someone actively comes up and offers you a hand. Is your automatic knee-jerk response just immediately, "No thanks, I've got it"? Now, society is usually pretty quick to judge this, right? People might say you have a massive ego or you're just way too proud to admit you need a hand. But psychology, it says something completely different. It views this not as stubbornness, but actually as the hallmark of a deeply complex, incredibly self-sufficient mind. Refusing to ask for help definitely doesn't mean you're broken. It doesn't mean you're arrogant or antisocial either. It really just means your brain is operating on an entirely different level. If that resonates with you, well, it's time we break down the actual science of what's happening inside your head.
Okay, let's dive into this. We're going to explore 5 rare psychological traits of the self-reliant brain: low social dependency, the trust threshold, internal locus of evaluation, cognitive reflection, and the hyperconnected mind. And finally, we'll wrap up by looking at the true power of this self-reliance.
All right, trait number 1, low social dependency. See, while most people naturally reach out to their social circle the absolute second things get difficult just to feel secure, your brain defaults completely differently. You just don't rely on social validation to feel good. Instead of needing this big cheering section around you, you've got this rare ability to find comfort and solutions entirely within your own mind. Let's move to the next one and see how this builds. Trait number 2, the trust threshold. Past experiences heavily shape our willingness to rely on others. Psychology actually shows us that your reluctance to ask for help, it's a deeply rooted subconscious protective boundary. Basically, if you grew up experiencing betrayal, maybe neglect, or just realizing that help always seemed to come with hidden strings attached, well, your brain adapted. Let's just walk through how this timeline unfolds. Years ago, you experienced help that wasn't really free. Months later, to protect yourself, you subconsciously lowered your expectations of everybody else. Jump 2 years later, and your brain has become highly protective. So in the present day, you think twice before giving someone the power to let you down again. It isn't stubbornness at all. It's active self-preservation keeping you safe. Moving on to trait number 3, internal locus of evaluation. Unlike folks who need constant external reassurance, you measure success on a totally different scale. You rely on an internal locus of evaluation, and this brilliantly illustrates how figuring out the solution entirely on your own is exactly how you validate your own competence. Honestly, if someone else fixes it for you, it doesn't even count in your internal ledger.
All right, trait number 4, cognitive reflection.
So, highly intelligent people don't just react blindly to challenges. They instantly reflect. Before you even consciously consider asking for a favor, your brain is already in absolute overdrive. In literal milliseconds, it simulates the whole scenario and calculates all the invisible social costs of that interaction. It's like your brain automatically plays out these steps. Step 1, ask for help. Step 2, immediately incur an obligation to return the favor. Step 3, do the whole social dance of acting overly grateful. And step 4, lose your autonomy over your time and energy. Because you so heavily value staying in control, you naturally resist this entire social pressure.
And that brings us to the final cognitive trait. Trait number 5, the hyper-connected mind. Now, what's really interesting about this is exactly what is physically happening in your mind when a problem pops up. Intelligent minds naturally experience hyperconnectivity. You are dedicating 100% of your limited cognitive bandwidth to analyzing patterns, just decoding the issue entirely in your head until you see the absolute full picture. So the crucial point here is that explaining the problem to someone else would actually be a massive roadblock. You don't ask for help because your inner world is already actively building the solution. Having to actually stop, translate it into words, and brief someone else, well, that would literally break the very thought flow that's going to solve the problem in the first place. Let's bring all these psychological traits together into a positive realization with our final section, the power of self-reliance. If you're someone who always figures it out alone, you've got to remember this quote. You aren't broken and you aren't antisocial.
You simply have a higher standard of self-reliance, a protective awareness of your own trust, and a complex mind wired for independence. So please, stop letting people tell you that you're just being stubborn. They're completely missing the mark.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final thought. Will you ever look at your refusal to ask for help the exact same way again? Because the next time you say, "No thanks, I've got it," you're going to know exactly what kind of complex psychological machinery is running behind the scenes. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and I'll see you in the next explainer as we decode even more of the fascinating world of human psychology.